Tariffs. Not just about trade. Donald Trump's use of tariffs has been a defining feature of his presidency. These tariffs are taxes on goods imported from other countries. They have become a tool of diplomacy, a way to exert pressure and achieve foreign policy goals. One prominent example is Trump's use of tariffs against Mexico. He threatened tariffs to force Mexico to take action on migration. Mexico agreed to increased border security measures to avoid the economic consequences of the tariffs. He views tariffs as leverage to secure concessions from other countries. Critics argue that this approach is counterproductive. However, Trump's supporters argue that his tactics are necessary to protect American interests. Trump's use of tariffs has not spared even America's closest allies. Canada, a longtime trading partner, found itself subject to tariffs on steel and aluminum. Trump justified these tariffs on national security grounds. He argued that reliance on foreign imports posed a threat to American security. Canada strongly disputed this claim, arguing that it posed no security threat to the U.S. The tariffs caused significant strain in the relationship between the two countries. Canada retaliated with its own tariffs on American goods. This tit-for-tat exchange highlighted the potential for economic conflicts even among close allies. Mexico, too, faced the brunt of Trump's tariff threats. Beyond the issue of migration, Trump also expressed concerns about trade imbalances. He argued that Mexico was benefiting unfairly from trade with the U.S. The threat of tariffs loomed large over the renegotiation of the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA. Trump's willingness to target allies with tariffs has raised concerns about American reliability. Countries may be hesitant to enter into agreements with the U.S. if they fear that tariffs could be used as a bargaining chip. This uncertainty could have long-term implications for global trade and diplomacy. The impact of Trump's tariffs extends far beyond the borders of the countries directly targeted. The global economy has felt the tremors of these trade disputes. One of the most significant consequences is the risk of a trade war. When one country imposes tariffs, others often retaliate with their own. This back and forth can escalate quickly, leading to a trade war. In a trade war, barriers to trade increase, making it more expensive and difficult for businesses to operate across borders. The uncertainty and increased costs associated with a trade war can dampen global economic growth. Businesses may postpone investments and consumers may cut back on spending. This slowdown can have ripple effects throughout the global economy. Another concern is the impact on inflation. Tariffs raise the prices of imported goods, which can lead to higher prices for consumers. If these price increases are significant and sustained, they can lead to inflation. Inflation erodes the purchasing power of consumers and can slow economic growth. Section 4. A balancing act for the Treasury. The Treasury Secretary plays a crucial role in navigating the economic and diplomatic complexities of tariff policy. On the one hand, the Treasury Secretary is responsible for managing the U.S. economy. This includes promoting economic growth, managing government finances, and advising the President on economic matters. On the other hand, the Treasury Secretary is also involved in international economic diplomacy. This includes representing the U.S. in international economic forums, negotiating trade agreements, and managing the country's relationships with other countries on economic matters. Trump's tariff policies have presented a challenge for the Treasury Secretary. Balancing the president's desire to use tariffs as leverage with the potential economic consequences requires careful consideration. The Treasury Secretary must weigh the potential benefits of tariffs in terms of achieving specific policy goals against the risks of economic harm. This balancing act is further complicated by the fact that tariffs can have unintended consequences. They can harm domestic industries that rely on imported goods, and they can lead to retaliation from other countries. The Treasury Secretary must carefully assess these risks and advise the President accordingly. Section 5. Reshaping the global trade landscape. Trump's tariff strategy aims to reshape global trade, favoring the U.S. He seeks to reduce the U.S. trade deficit. Trump argues the U.S. has been taken advantage of in trade deals. Tariffs aim to encourage domestic production. He hopes to bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. Trump uses tariffs to renegotiate trade deals. Section 6. The risk of isolation. While Trump's tariff strategy is intended to advance American interests, it carries the inherent risk of isolating the United States on the global stage. As other countries face the brunt of American tariffs, they may seek to forge new economic alliances that exclude the US. This could diminish American influence in global trade and diplomacy. The European Union, for example, has responded to US tariffs with retaliatory measures of its own. The EU has also sought to strengthen its trade ties with other countries, such as Japan. This trend towards regional trade blocs could leave the US increasingly isolated. Moreover, Trump's confrontational approach to trade has strained relationships with key allies. Canada, Mexico, and European countries have all expressed frustration with American tariff policies. This strained relationship makes it more difficult to cooperate on other global challenges such as climate change and security threats. The risk of isolation extends beyond the economic realm. As the US retreats from its traditional leadership role in the global trading system, other countries may be less willing to follow its lead on other issues. This could undermine American influence and make it more difficult to build international consensus on pressing global challenges.